night here in Philadelphia. Beautiful, crisp, wintry morning, and I was thinking about doing it outside in the snow, and then I thought, you know what? It's a little too crisp for me this morning. So we're in our nice, warm, toasty office, and great to have you joining me today. So today we're looking at a theme as we continue on with the Gospel of John here. It's a theme that is repeated again and again and again and again, and it comes down to kind of the mess. What is the mess, and why is it that Jesus is constantly pulling us towards the mess? It's a really important um, message, I think, to constantly reinforce in our minds and to constantly be thinking back on, and especially as we're on this search for God, as many of us are. And the idea that we find God in the mess, like that sounds a little counterintuitive when so much of our life is based on getting everything stacked up just right. But this is another part of the story where yet again Jesus reminds us, yep, where you're going to find God is you're going to find God in the mess. So, just quick recap if you're joining us for the first time. Lazarus has been raised from the dead, this incredible miracle. Jesus did that. The clergy, however, at this time are like, oh, that's no good. They refuse to celebrate it, and they become extremely cynical, contemptuous of what Jesus is doing. And it's obvious that a plot is now hatched that will find its way to Easter and Jesus being killed, because they see him as a threat to their particular power. And goes on, and now we're at this part where Jesus kind of catches wind that his life is in danger, and this is how he handles it. And again, I want you to think about this in light of the mess. I just find this really interesting. Therefore, Jesus, because of this hearing this, that his life was in danger, no longer moved about publicly among the Jews. Again, he was living in Israel. He was Jewish himself. Instead, he withdrew to a region near the desert. And anytime you see the desert there, think the wilderness is how it's often referred to in the Bible. To a village called Ephraim, where he stayed with his disciples. So he goes out into the desert, essentially. Goes to this little sort of podunk out there on the edge of society town. When it was almost time for the Jewish Passover, many went from the country, in other words, from places like where he was, to Jerusalem for their ceremonial cleansing. That's really clear and really, really important before the Passover. They kept looking for Jesus. As they stood in the temple area, they asked one another, "Where do you think he is? Isn't he coming to the feast at all?" But the chief priests and Pharisees had given orders that if anyone found out where Jesus was, they should report it so that they might arrest him. Now, folks, like it's like, like this is where the Bible is so genius to me, and it's genius in so many ways, right? We could pick any numbers of stories where it's really genius, and this is one where you got to really see the tension in this, right? So here Jesus goes out to the countryside, out on the very think of a a bad Western movie, right? And the guy way out there on the edge of the wilderness. And that's where Jesus went, to kind of this way out there outpost. And then it says, and people from this way out there places went into Jerusalem to be ritually cleansed. And that's not where Jesus went. That's not where Jesus went. Jesus stays out in the wilderness. Jesus stays out on the edge where the mess is. Now, that's really important, folks, because I think so much of the time, just a little bit. I think so much of the time we spend a great deal of effort trying to have lives, at least I do, trying to have a life that just it all completely stacks up. It all completely makes sense. It's all completely planned. There's no mess, there's no ragged edges, there's no unknowns. It's really clicks together like Lego blocks. And that just doesn't seem to be where God hangs out much. And it seems to be a misnomer that if somehow we get our lives all lined up, all just perfectly, that then God will appear. It doesn't seem to really be how God works. It feels like we meet God much more in the wilderness parts of our lives than we do in any sort of Jerusalem, or in any sort of idea of this ritual cleansing. Cleansing it will just get rid of all the evil in one shot and be done. That's not the way it works. Martha Graham, many of you have heard me say this quote before. It's a quote that I love. She famously said, "The athletes of God wrestled and grew strong. They chose and they acted." The athletes of God wrestled and grew strong, and they chose and they acted. And that is so much what yeah, that is just so much what we have to do. And this is my a little bit of a rant is because I think, boy, it's so easy to succumb to that, and especially within our religious institutions to succumb to the idea that we just have to get it totally pure. And once we do, then we will finally somehow be reflective of God's will. And that's what you see people trying to do here. But then Jesus goes the exact opposite way. And he's saying, no, you're really going to be out there in the wilderness. You're not going to find me and all that stuff. And why is that? Because that stuff's our stuff. That list of what to do is our list of what to do. Um, Jesus' famous command, your sacrifices. I don't want your sacrifices. What do I want? Is I want a humble heart. I want you to love mercy. I want you to act faithfully. Like that's what he's asking us to do. And when we get too stuck in that place of purity and everything, it just tends to not work. I think, I mean, many reasons, many things I could say. And I don't want to overstate it, but boy, this is an important one. It's so easy, right? Because many of us feel like, who am I to be part of a church or whatever? Look at my life. Look how crazy my life is. Look at all the mess and the ragged edges. Those are the exact kind of people who should be in a church. And it's interesting, the number of times, and I've said this before, the number of times where someone's come into church and been like, wow, I really thought the walls were going to come collapsing down. Like as if that's what God does. No, that's what we do. That's not what God does. God is much more open than that. And Lamont quoted her before to this group. She famously said, God saves a lot more people than we would. And I think that's really true. So friends, like for today, if you're finding yourself in a wilderness time, or if you know someone who's in a wilderness time, and we are all either there or we know people who are there. If either one of those true is if either one of those two is true for you today, just breathe and just be like, okay, so let's just find God here. If I'm in a wilderness place myself, okay, let's find God here. If you're with a friend or a family member who's in that wilderness place, just be content to say, let's find God here too. It's not about taking on the purity mentality. That place just is not really going to work. Frankly, they couldn't find God there. They couldn't find Jesus there. Ready for why? Because he's not there. He's out in these margin places. And that's where we can just breathe and just go, okay, so God, Emmanuel, God with us, God is here too. So that's our thought for the weekend. And again, hope you folks are doing well and have a great weekend ahead of you and have a lot of fun. I know New Church Live here, we're celebrating a wedding tomorrow. And then for the very first time, I've never actually been to an NFL game. And I am going to see an actual football game tomorrow night, which will be a ton of fun. So thinking of you folks. And again, feel free to join us this weekend. We have a wonderful part 2 of our series, A Fresh Start. And this week we're looking at a fresh start if your relationships are stuck. That's what we're looking at this weekend. So it should be pretty fun to preach on Sunday. So with that, dear friends, let's go ahead and get our little meditation in here. So let's get a big breath. And the bell. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, bring you home. Amen. All right, friends. Well, let's give a cheery hello to those who have joined us on this fine morning. And let me try to pull this up. I'm getting quicker at this. Oh, we got a bunch of people today. So, all right, let me run down through this. Brianna Smith, praise God. Hello, church family. Could I please ask for me and my children? What you can do, Brianna, is you can send me a message on Facebook. Martha, good morning to you. Jean, good morning. Off to shovel snow again. I did that this morning. I got extra credit from the cruise director. Linda, life in a tiny box. I get it, but it isn't the way it happens. Love mercy. Jesus is amazingly tender. We all need it, and we all need to give it. Yeah, life in a tidy box. I want a tidy box, though, Linda. I'm just saying. Jerry, wishing you a blessed day as well, my friend. Rick, yes, and I get to actually see the Cowboys. I mean, it's really going to be fun. It's going to be Cowboys versus Eagles. That's why Rick is writing "Go Birds" for any of you who don't know Philadelphia fans. So that'll be a fun game to get to see. Yeah, Linda, wedding, yay, turn on your microphone. Yes, this time I do plan to turn on my microphone. It'll be a ton of fun. Susan writes, good morning to all. Yes. Oh my goodness, Sadie. Good morning. You should be going to Baltimore on Sunday afternoon. Go Steelers. Well, this is the deal, Patty. Is as a pastor, I go anywhere I get free tickets. So if any of you ever want to get me Steeler tickets, there you go. I'm just kidding. You don't need to really get me Steeler tickets, but it's just fun. Sherry, jealous of your snow. I know, and it's just incredibly beautiful out there today. Just incredibly gorgeous. So closing thought, guys, again, please join us this Sunday, 10:30 a.m., New Church Live. It'll be streamed right on this page. It'll be streamed as well on YouTube and Vimeo, and our homepage, and a great service we're looking at, a fresh start, looking at stuck relationships. So we hope to see you then, and we hope to see you next Monday as we get started with another week. God bless, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.